Today is April 29th, and we are getting to the tail end of the thaw, and I figured I'd give an update on the drainage project. This is down from the very end. It's going to be a little choppy. There's a lot of stuff along the sides here, but we did get 350 inches of snow, and you can see on the edges here that we're still doing some thaw. Some places are kind of still deep. This is all the work that was done by Caleb and his mini excavator. So this is sort of the main channel here. We'll go ahead and walk up a little bit easier. Obviously lots of leaves still coming down. We had a half inch of rain earlier this week, 50-mile-an-hour winds. So definitely have to clean a couple things out. And this is where we have the split. We'll go up the Boston Canal side of things here, and then we'll come back and go up Woodsy Creek, get an idea of how things are flowing. It is 37 degrees, so we're not getting a ton of thaw today, but things are handling the water quite well. So following up here on the Woodsy Creek side of things, so this goes around behind the garage. Again, this is still mini excavator work, still quite a bit of refuge, some where I blew snow, things like that. You'll see a black cord in here to try to thaw things to make sure that they don't end up freezing up in this culvert, which could be the problem sometimes, but is not right now. So we'll hop over to the other side of the road and head up towards the fence. So this is the other side of the driveway, and this is where we have we'll always have an issue, because in order to get the slope coming out of the backyard and the culvert, which is the immovable object, this is always going to be a little bit full of water just based on that slope. But you can see where I blew snow. It's the last remnants of stuff here coming off the driveway as we come up around the curve. And I'll take a quick little snapshot around the backside here before we move inside the yard and check things out from the Boston Canal side, or the side over by Semco. So you can see it's running pretty well through here. Definitely a little bit of a slope issue, but that'll work itself out. Plus it's outside the fence, so I really don't care. Back to the Woodsy Creek side of things, going up into the fence around the greenhouse. This is held up really, really well. I'm glad I did a rolled side. It's actually quite a bit, and I won't go down there because it's a little treacherous right now. Maybe I'll come around the side and start again, but get an idea of how things are flowing here. I probably need a little bit more rock on top of some of the corresponding fabric there, but I'll get a view from the other side. Lots of drainage coming in from over on the side here, which is fine again because we're outside the fence. So looking back to where we were last time, you can see actually the fabric is bulging out. That's actually groundwater pressure that hasn't quite seeped through, and it's actually working its way through the fabric, which is great because it's cutting down on all the silt that comes off of the drainage that we have over here. So turning around here on the bridge, and this is the second spring for this section, which was the early part. I did use those boards to move back a bunch of the growth when we get the really tall grasses and stuff, so it won't come into the actual drainage. The 40-50 mile an hour winds put a lot of oak leaves. I did clean this out over the last couple days, and this drainage over here is starting to come down quite a bit. We'll follow the main here over the bridge, which seems to have held up extremely well over the winter. I haven't checked to see if it's level stayed pretty close, but it seems to be doing just fine. We added some rubber mats here for the snowshoes and the dogs and the grip and stuff. Again, this is still the second year on this, though there was a little touch-up done. Again, using a variety of old pipes that part of the greenhouse build to move back a bunch of the grass as well. And then we get into last year's work started right about here. We have a lot of vole damage, kind of hard to tell, but all that dark dug around underneath the snow, and so that's also opened up a bunch of different paths, which include some spots where things are coming out, and then we get all of the silt of sand and muck and stuff. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about this. I knew this was a tough spot. I think there's a spring under here because this is all sort of mushy. Always has been, going to continue to be, because I don't know if I can do anything about it. Here we've got it quite a bit down. This was probably an inch or two over all the rocks on a couple of the really running days. Again, we have some of the voles and the work off to the side. Most of that is actually my dirt, but kind of messed up a little bit of the side parts of the path, but that's okay. We had a very early wet snow, which resulted in a lot of problems. In particular, it uprooted this entire tag alder, which was something that I worked my way around. Not sure how I'm going to do anything with that. See if maybe I can upright it again. Not sure. It might require a little bit of leverage and engineering to do that. The bank here covered in a lot of leaves, but definitely running just fine. And everything up here moved through quite well. Did have some stuff come down, but I had to clean up a little bit of that. Draining quite well off the side here, and then from the back all the way up to the top of the hill. Really settled down over the last day, but just an idea of some of the initial flow here down at the very top. Looking back downstream behind the sauna there, behind the garage, and then we come back down here, and go up towards the pipe that is part of the French drain or the burrito, and then the final work that I did to make sure that everything here at the fence was pretty solid. What's fascinating is as the thaw happens, you'll see here a lot of these leaves get moved down. The water was up over the rocks, which includes that pipe that's in underneath it, so it was moving a lot of water, and definitely had to clean some of those out. You'll see the rake here by the side, just trying to keep a little bit of better flow. So by the end of the day, and I'll hopefully come back when I get back later this evening and see if this has moved at all. But this is where the beginning of the burrito is. You can see all of the damage that came from that early snow, and all the tag alder and all the other crappy things that have been broken and bent over. So I'm actually not going to be able to gracefully go up, though my little spur has worked well, other than the fact that it's picking up a lot of muck at the very top of this. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have to try to figure out a way to clean that up or get some sort of barrier up that side here where a lot of things are coming down. Now, I didn't note earlier, but they did change the drainage. This is the tail end of the pile that was probably a good 20 feet, where the front end loader moves all the snow from Semco's parking lot to the edge of the new drainage that they put in. Not quite sure if it's really working as expected right now, but this is definitely working as expected because this is way down for April at this point. So a quick little tour to the top after I get around all this junk, and that'll be the tail end of the spring tour. Looking back downstream from the end of where I did the 4-foot wide, you can see all the damage. I'm going to have to get the chainsaw out, clean up a bunch of stuff, figure out what to do. Sure glad that didn't happen last year, because this would have been really painful to get through in terms of the shoveling and moving everything. Now we're just going to go up the last little bits here. This also has gotten filled in pretty good with leaves. I did a little bit of clean out, and I would probably love to have some more rock on the edges here, just like I did outside the fence that I talked about earlier, but I don't know if that's going to be really all that feasible. Still have to clean up a little bit here and there. In terms of the leaves, maybe I'll just blow them out once it actually dries up. But you can see I purposely ended up stopping, but that's where that other part of the drainage, and off in the distance there is the fence where I showed you earlier, the beginning part of the the main part of Woodsy Creek. And you can see some of the darker spots over here is where we've got some drainage coming in, but it is really slowed down quite a bit. I got cut off there on the last part of that video, but just to close things off here, this is where I started my videos last year, right here in the middle of the yard. And so Woodsy Creek moving down this way, the bridge that I built. Obviously you can't see too much, but you can see a little bit of the water that's standing here still in the yard. But up top here, this is all dried out really nicely. We did lose a big branch off of this tree as part of that early snow, but get an idea of what it looks like in the spring in comparison to what we finished up in the summer last year.